Here it comes, but what is it? Well, take a look at the screen running right beside of me and you kind of get the idea of what I'm talking about. We've got a very active pattern heading in toward mid-November and cold air lurking nearby up in Canada. And when you have those two ingredients this time of year, well, they can mix together at high altitudes and give us what we call, you know what I'm talking about. We've got a signal in the modeling and in the pattern for a potent storm or two as we work through the next couple of weeks. And I'll show you what I'm seeing there here in just a minute. Right now, though, I want to hit you up with the forecast for the first part of the work week and the tail end of the weekend, just so you're prepared as you head out the door. So this afternoon, we've been talking about this for a couple of days. Got an upper level low working through the Tennessee Valley. It's going to spark a low pressure off the coast, and you can see that as I move this map along. Look at the response and precipitation in the Piedmont of North Carolina, the eastern Piedmont, and the European really doesn't get much of this precipitation back west of I-77, except for the upper low that's kind of working through northern Georgia and eastern Tennessee. But some of the other modeling get a little bit of shower activity back here into the foothills. We'll see if that gets that far west. My suspicion is it probably doesn't. But anyway, looking at rainfall this afternoon and into the evening hours and overnight here in the Carolinas, few showers working across the northern tier into the Great Lakes keep you cloudy and a little bit damp this afternoon and this evening. And you don't see it here on this particular image. I kind of fast forwarded it along there, but there's some showers that you'll see and some snow showers in the higher elevations out here in the west as well. As we head through the overnight and head out the door in the morning to your work week, look for showers in the eastern sections of North Carolina, the Tidewater of Virginia, up into the Delmarva, even into the Great Lakes, with another clipper moving through up there. Going to see some rain there, so keep the umbrellas handy as you're going out to work. But that'll be winding down through the day, more energy coming back into the Pacific Northwest. Much of the rest of the nation sunny and getting mild, particularly out west, in front of this next system pushing into the northwest. And then Monday should be rainy into the afternoon and evening up here in the northeast as well. How much rain are we talking about? Well, if we move this on along toward Sunday into Monday and get on in toward Monday night, you can see as we get into 7 p.m. Monday, look at this. Here, let's go on out. I'm just going to slide it along so I don't have to click every single one. And you'll see about an inch, maybe half an inch to an inch. Some of the modeling is a little bit less, but I think we'll probably end up picking up to anywhere from half an inch to an inch here in the eastern sections of North Carolina. That looks like where the bullseye is, and another maybe up to a half an inch here in central and eastern Tennessee, and then some just quarter inch amounts as we get on in through the Great Lakes and into New England. Again, this is through 7 p.m. Monday, and then more rain coming into the Pacific Northwest. Some of that's going to be snow, but in the higher elevations, those mountains just squeeze out all of that energy. There's no lack of moisture coming in here, and you guys are going to pick up some impressive rainfall totals over the next couple of weeks. As far as snow goes, here, look at that. I wasn't even on the right display. There you go. There's your rainfall totals up in the Pacific Northwest. There's your snowfall totals too up in the Cascades. Look for 4 to 6 inches by the time we get into Monday evening, and even here in Glacier National Park could pick up an inch or two in those higher elevations up there. So that's all we've got going on the next couple of days. Temperatures are going to be below normal in the central portion of the country today, and then the Mississippi Valley, and then on east, and then back to the west, it's going to be a little bit above normal. Satellite picture shows plenty of clouds in the Ohio Valley down in toward the Gulf Coast states, and clouds building here off the coast of the Carolinas where that low pressure is getting its act together. And these clouds that aren't moving, well, that's fog here in Missouri and eastern Iowa and back in toward western Illinois, folks. You're seeing some fog and some more clouds associated with energy pushing in out west. Everybody else, nice sunny day. Go outside and play some golf or some pickleball or whatever it is you like to do, and just get out there and enjoy the warm autumn day as we head on in toward the afternoon today. There's your dense fog advisories up here in the Midwest, and then back into Texas west of San Antonio. Windy across the north. Wind advisories up in Minnesota and over into North Dakota, and high wind warnings for gusts into the 60s in Montana. Got a tight pressure gradient up here with a storm system moving by, and that's going to fuel some winds at the surface. As a matter of fact, there you go. You got these, especially in the higher elevations, we're looking at gusts into the 50s and 60s, even spilling into the prairies as well, and then gusts into the 40s as we get into North Dakota, over into Minnesota, and the lakes here going to see some wind as well this afternoon. As we take a look at the temperature pattern, there's your below normal readings, virtually the eastern half of the country today. Some pockets out here are going to be 5 to 10 degrees below normal. And as we move this on along, but look at out west, what's coming, folks. This is a big ridge building in. We're going to see temperatures 5 to 10 to 15, maybe even 20 degrees above normal as we go through the week. And as we head on in toward Monday, that low anomaly, these temperatures begin to sort of moderate a bit as they become detached from the northerly flow. And so that this time of year, the sun angle is still high enough to moderate temps pretty efficiently, working a little bit above normal in the northeast as we go in toward Monday afternoon. But then a storm system winds up here, pulls some more cool air down, and another storm system moving into the Pacific Northwest. No lack of storms out there, going to push some southerly winds and bring in some really, really warm temperatures out here to move as we move through the week. And outside of the Northeast and parts of the West, we're going to see, and here toward the end of the week, at the Great Lakes, you can include that in there too, in the Ohio Valley. But outside of those areas, it's going to be very, very warm across the southern tier and the nation's midsection, folks, as we get into next weekend. And then another storm system winds up and brings some cool air up here. Now, if we take a look at the pattern and what a couple of the models are showing, I'm going to show you the European and the GFS, just to kind of give you an idea of what they're seeing as we go on out in the next 2 weeks. A couple of storm systems here in the European move through as we get on in toward midweek. Fast moving Clipper moves through the Great Lakes, bringing some showers up there. It begins to amplify. I've got that ridge out west kind of parked out here. You can see that high pressure dome here in the middle of the country. But you start to get this amplification here in the northeast, and that will help to spin up a stronger storm with some wind and some rain, even some snow in the higher terrain up here as we get on in toward Wednesday and Thursday. More energy pushing into the Pacific Northwest. That'll send a storm system across the northern tier, maybe bring some showers to the Ohio Valley to end the week and get into next weekend. And really just storms moving west to east pretty much. And that's what the European shows through most of the run until you get way out here toward the end of the week. And now we've got a big 969 bomb taking off in the plains with blizzard conditions as we get on out in time. Now, the Europeans put this in different locations over the past few days, but it has a storm at the end of its range, and I'll show you kind of why that is in a second. Now, what is the GFS showing? Well, the GFS has a little bit more enthusiasm. Let's roll this back here, and so here it comes. We'll go through this week, and there's we get on in toward next weekend. It doesn't have a big storm system up here. It's got it kind of in the Ohio Valley, and just keeps it a little flat, brings some showers through, some snow on the backside, a couple of little clippers coming in with a high pressure building in out of Canada, bringing some snow here into the Ohio Valley. But look what happens as we get on out toward Monday, November the 10th. Big storm winding up off the coast. This will be a big nor'easter, heavy rain, heavy wind, and snow back into the interior sections of the Northeast, probably looking at close to a foot in places if the GFS turns out to be right. And it could be right, but you know, the GFS and its track record isn't the best. That said, the signal and the pattern is still there for an amplified storm at some point over the next 2 weeks. So we'll keep our eyes on it. High pressure builds in, and then as we go on through, that's not even at day 10 though. So the GFS is kind of seeing this inside of the day 10 time frame, which is kind of interesting. Another clipper brings some more snow in, more energy coming in a little bit farther south, and then look at this. A big bomb like the European has, it just has a little farther east into the Great Lakes, and so heavy snow as the cold air comes in on the backside. This will be a heavy wet snow here, maybe 6 inches or something like that, and very, very wind driven as well. Looks like it's even mixed with rain if we take the model literally, but another big bomb of a storm into the 970s. That would be kind of big time wind, rain, big storm system with thunderstorms along the front as well. So got a couple of models hinting at a big storm out at range. Snowfall total over the next 16 days here in the GFS. Look at this. More than a foot up here in the higher terrain in the Northeast. Lots of snow in the Rockies as storm systems continue to come in out here. And it's cool as you go up in the air. Of course, it's where it's really, really cool once you get up in elevation. And then it even brings a few inches down here from the Central Plains into the Ohio Valley. Again, this is the GFS. This is not a forecast. It is a possibility within a model run that's way out in time. And of course, as we always talk about, the margin of error goes up significantly as we get out in time. That said, the signal in the pattern is very, very active. If we take a look here at the European ensembles, we start here with this big upper low, and that's providing the rain in the Tennessee Valley today. That will dampen and weaken out. Big ridging takes hold in the central portion of the country, and you get these blue and green anomalies. These are lower heights. That means the height of the height of the 500 millibar surface in the mid levels is lower than average. That means it's generally cooler weather and stormy out ahead of these troughs, and so ridging and across the central portion of the country is going to be above normal as we get into next week. But look at all these blues just pounding the west coast. That is energy coming in, rain, snow in the higher elevations, and look what happens. It sends a sends these storm systems across. They amplify at times a little bit, but look what is going on up here in Greenland and around this area. You've got some blocking starting to take hold, and if we can get the Pacific to slow down just a little bit, instead of sending just energy in every day, if we can space any of that energy out by a couple of days, if blocking takes hold, look what happens. Eventually we get a little bit of the space like I was talking about, and a big ridge goes up out west, sending energy back down in this direction like that. And when you have that with big blocking, you start to get a slower pattern, and you have these, you can give the storm a little bit more room to amplify and wind up. And that's what the European is showing here. Look at that. The European ensembles is showing sort of a big ridge building up, big blocking up here in Greenland and in Canada. And you get a big signal for a deep trough in the east, probably a significant storm to go with this. So the signals are there in the pattern, and then the energy just continues to push into the west. So we want to see certain things play out a certain way if we're going to watch this, and by the end of the time, the run, it's going back to a big trough in the west and ridge in the east. But if you want to see a big storm system, you need meridional flow coming out of Canada, and you need the blocking up here to kind of slow the flow, and need to slow that wave train coming into the Pacific down just a little bit. And it looks like we might get a period or two where those things kind of line up over the next 2 weeks. Something to watch and something to keep our eye on. But some people across the northern tier could see some snow as we get on in toward mid-November. It's not all that unusual this time of year, but certainly it would be a welcome sight for winter weather lovers to feel like the winter is getting off to a fast start. And it still looks like it might in the east. So that's the forecast for today, folks. I hope it's been fun, entertaining for you. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Pray for cold rain and cold drizzle. My son, he's got to have some teeth removed tomorrow, unfortunately. So keep him in your prayers. Subscribe to the channel. And if you haven't done so, join the team, give us a like, leave a comment, leave a prayer request, anything I can pray about as well. Anyway, happy Sunday, folks, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care. God bless.